There are places on Earth that cannot be found in guidebooks, but can only be experienced with the beating of your heart and the eyes of wonder. These are lands where nature is not only beautiful, but strange, mysterious, even surreal. Join me as I open the door to these little-known but unforgettable wonders, where beauty is not just to be seen, but to be felt with your soul. Lake Bled is not just a lake. It's a dream kept alive over time. Nestled in Slovenia's majestic Julian Alps, the calm surface of the lake reflects a small island with an ancient church that looks like it came straight out of a fairy tale. The magic lies not only in its beauty, but also in the way it makes people feel silent and amazed. There is no engine noise. For more than a century, Lake Bled has maintained a no motorcycle zone around its shores, thanks to strict conservation policies. In the 19th century, it was used for hydrotherapy, thanks to its stable microbiological structure, a rarity in freshwater systems. Small chambers at the bottom of the lake keep the water pressure balanced, making Lake Bled a strange intersection of ancient ice and smoldering geothermal energy. Even in winter, the water deep in the lake is warmer than the surface, as if it holds a quiet, gentle secret. Coming to Bled is not just about traveling, but about touching a quiet yet profound beat of the earth. If Lake Bled is a quiet prelude, then the Azores are the explosion of wild nature in the middle of the ocean. Isolated in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, more than 1,400 kilometers from mainland Portugal, the Azores archipelago appears like another world, where time slows down and nature is allowed to shine without barriers. The lush green fields, shimmering crater lakes, steep cliffs, and vibrant native flower forests create a picture so vivid and profound that it makes the traveler's heart quiet. Since the 15th century, people have been in harmony with nature here, living together, believing together, worshiping together. They cook with heat from the ground, hold festivals to honor the community spirit, and preserve the cultural heritage typical of the island. In the Azores, You can hear the coral reefs cracking under your feet, see whales swimming lazily offshore, and feel the subtle vibrations of the earth and sky under your every step. It is not just a destination, it is an invitation to return to a forgotten purity. In contrast to the warm blue of the Azores, the Arctic appears as a white silence, where beauty comes from extreme harshness. There are no cars, no bright flowers, just snow, wind, and a heart-wrenching cold sky. Yet, in that wildness, the Arctic awakens a strange emotion. The smallness of humans before a primitive world that we cannot tame. In summer, the sun never sets, creating a magical midnight sun phenomenon. A soft yet brilliant light, stretching endlessly across the ice sea. Winter, on the other hand, is a symphony of darkness and aurora borealis, where blue and purple lights dance across the black sky, reminding us that beauty sometimes comes from unpleasant things. The Arctic is not only home to polar bears, reindeer, and seals, it is also where the global climate finds a delicate balance. As the ice melts, we lose not only a wonder, but also the deepest part of our connection to the Earth. Have you ever imagined yourself standing in the middle of an Arctic lake under the aurora borealis, or watching the waves crash around a remote Azores island in the middle of the Atlantic? If these moments have touched your imagination, subscribe to the channel today to discover the most magical places the world still hides. If Arctic is a cold and quiet white love song, WulingYuan is a vertical dream between heaven and earth, where nature seems to defy gravity to depict a surreal world. Located in Hunan Province, China, WulingYuan Scenic Area is a maze of more than 3,000 towering sandstone pillars rising from the heart of the primeval forest, covered in clouds and morning mist, making this place look like a breathing ink painting. Each stone pillar seems to carry its own soul, standing silently through millions of years of geological changes. In the thin mist, Each cliff reflects on the clear streams, where the sound of birds echoes like an ancient whisper of the mountains and forests. The scenery here once inspired the world of cinema in the movie Avatar, but when standing in front of the real WulingYuan, people understand no special effects can imitate that overwhelming and sacred feeling. WulingYuan is more than just a natural wonder. It's a place where you feel like you're stepping into a world beyond the limits of reality. WulingYuan feels like a dreamland in the clouds, while Iceland's Diamond Beach is a place where reality becomes surreal to the point of choking. On the endless stretch of fine black sand, formed from millions of years of volcanic ash, hundreds of crystal-clear ice blocks lie silently, sparkling in the sunlight. The sight was as if someone had scattered diamonds on the frozen ground. As dawn rose over the horizon, the icebergs changed from blue to jade, then glowed as if lit from within. Each wave gently lapped, pushing the ice blocks rolling in the wind, emitting a soft sound like the whisper of an ancient ocean. Here, fire and ice do not confront each other but embrace each other, creating a symphony of metaphysical beauty. Diamond Beach not only captivates people with its rare beauty, but is also a reminder. The most fragile beauty often comes from the harshest places. Diamond Beach moves us with its brilliant fragility in the far north, while Uluru leads us into another depth of the earth, where the memories and souls of red soil still echo in the heart of pristine Australia. Standing 348 meters high and stretching over 9 kilometers in circumference, this solitary rock is not only overwhelming in its size, but also in its smoldering vitality that exists in every crack, every color changing with the sunlight. Every morning and evening, Uluru changes color, as if breathing with the earth and sky. From fiery orange, deep red to purple, then gradually sinking into the mysterious black night. The Anangu people, the indigenous inhabitants, consider this place a sacred land where the legends of the world's formation still live in every crevice of the rock, every footprint in the sand. Since 2019, climbing to the top of Uluru has been prohibited as an act of respect for the ancient spirit here. Standing in front of Uluru, we are not only facing a geological wonder, but also facing the majestic silence of nature and history that has never slept. In contrast to the solemn silence of Uluru, Glowworm Beach is where light whispers through every ripple, creating an almost surreal miracle. Nestled on the shore, this beach is not very noticeable during the day, but when night falls, each gentle wave crashing against the shore is enough to awaken millions of tiny creatures, bioluminescent plankton, specifically Noctiluca scintillans, making the entire water surface glow like a galaxy falling into the ocean. That soft blue light is not artificial, not staged, but the result of delicate biological reactions, taking place only under perfect microscopic conditions of salinity, pH, and temperature. When you step lightly into the water, the footprints you leave behind glow behind you, as if you are walking through the starry sky. That feeling, both unreal and intimate, makes people want to whisper, not daring to break the fragile, heart-wrenching moment. Glowworm Beach captivates us with the silent light of the ocean, while Caño Cristales, Colombia's river of 5 colors, lights up like a colorful painting bursting into the heart of the tropical jungle. About 100-kilometer long, this river is covered in red, pink, yellow, blue, and purple, thanks to a unique plant called Macarenia clavigera, which lives on the water's surface in extremely delicate microscopic conditions. Unlike any other river in the world, Caño Cristales not only overwhelms us visually, but also touches the most primal emotion: the amazement at how nature can paint a vivid picture without human hands. Under the sunlight, the shimmering water surface seems to melt, each clear puddle revealing ancient rocks billions of years old, as if time and color have miraculously found a way to live together. At Caño Cristales, you don't just see a river, you see the pride of the earth in all its glory. If wonders like Caño Cristales move you, the journey has only just begun. Subscribe to the channel today to discover more of the magical places the world has been quietly preserving, where color, light, and legend still whisper, waiting for you to listen. while Caño Cristales is a dazzling river of colors in the middle of a tropical forest. Pamukkale appears like a white dream in the heart of sunny Turkey. Its name, Cotton Castle, is not a random comparison. From afar, the white cascades stacked on top of each other look like layers of clouds frozen on the mountainside. But when approaching, we realize that they are Travertine terraces, formed over thousands of years by the calcium-rich hot mineral water pouring down and crystallizing into smooth white stone. Inside that beauty is life. The water here continues to flow, continues to form, and still maintains a temperature of 35 to 100 degrees, just enough to warm the souls of tired travelers. When soaking your feet in the warm water of small lakes, amidst the surreal scenery and tranquil atmosphere, you not only feel relaxed, but also feel like you are floating in a layer of illusory clouds, where time stops for a rare moment of peace in life. In contrast to the pure white elegance of Pamukkale, Lake Titicaca carries within it the depth of ancient legends, stretching between the high sky and the sacred mountains of the Andes. Located at an altitude of more than 3,800 meters above sea level, this place is not only the highest lake in the world that can be traveled by boat, but also the sacred land of the Incas, where they believe the sun god gave birth to the world. When the dark blue water reflects the majestic mountain range and the white clouds hang in the sky, the traveler cannot help but feel like he is standing between two worlds, a real world and a world of legend. Under the lake, archaeologists have discovered ceremonial structures that have been submerged for centuries, raising many unanswered questions. Titicaca is not as brilliant as Caño Cristales, not as white as Pamukkale, but it is the quiet, sacred, and rich cultural depth that has made this place an eternal symbol in the middle of South America. Lake Titicaca is a symbol of quietness and sacredness spreading horizontally, while Antelope Canyon is a journey deep into the ground, where light and stone together draw enchanting curves. Located in the state of Arizona, USA, this canyon is not wide, not towering, but possesses a rare beauty that only nature has the patience to carve over thousands of years. Under the midday sunlight shining from the gap above, each layer of red-orange sand and stone reflects vivid shades, changing from amber to dark red and plum purple, like a fiery silk strip wrapped around the quiet space. Every step inside is a change of perspective, an explosion of emotions. Antelope Canyon is not simply a canyon, it is a love letter of wind, water, and time sent to those who dare to enter. This place makes us realize that sometimes beauty is not at the top, but hidden deep in the quiet crevices, waiting for the light to reach and shine. In contrast to the quiet and gentle beauty of Antelope Canyon, Victoria Falls appears as a rushing epic, where nature does not whisper, but roars in the sound of falling water. Located between Zambia and Zimbabwe, this waterfall stretches for more than 1.6 kilometers and falls from a height of more than 100 meters, forming a giant white curtain, a living border between heaven and earth. The natives call this place Mosi Oa Tunya, smoke of thunder, a name that is both poetic and fierce, accurately reflecting the sound and image that visitors feel when approaching. Columns of steam rise hundreds of meters high, radiating rainbows suspended in the sky, making the whole space seem to be wrapped in magical magic. However, it is at Devil's Pool, a natural pool of water near the edge of the cliff. That is an unusually quiet place, where people lie between life and death, feeling the power of nature most clearly. Victoria Falls is not just a wonder. It is a place where people learn to be in awe of beauty. Arches National Park appears like an ancient epic written in stone, where beauty does not explode but is silently engraved in people's hearts. Located in the middle of Utah's fiery desert, this park is home to more than 2,000 natural stone arches, spectacular arches carved by wind and time over millions of years. When the sun sets, the whole land burns in red, orange, and yellow as if lit from within. At the foot of the stone arches, especially delicate arch, people cannot help but be silent before the majestic fragility. Each smooth curve is the result of erosion, endurance, and transformation, just like the journey of the earth and humans. In the arid and quiet space, Arches evokes a feeling of both humility and awe. Without words, this place tells the story of earth, wind, and time in a language that only the heart can understand. Angkor Wat, the most brilliant gem in the Angkor complex, is not only the pride of Cambodia, but also an eternal symbol of human wisdom and belief. Built in the 12th century to worship Vishnu, then gradually becoming a Buddhist sanctuary, Angkor Wat is like a great symphony, combining architecture, art, and spirituality. Spanning over 400 acres, the temple contains more than 3,000 exquisite reliefs, depicting legendary stories and history of a prosperous period. Few people know that Angkor Wat's architecture was inspired by the Hindu cosmological model, with the central tower symbolizing Mount Meru, where the gods reside. Standing before the grandeur and tranquility of Angkor Wat, people cannot help but be moved. Here, each stone slab seems to whisper about the past, and each ray of early sunlight shining through the ancient corridor seems to awaken souls that have been sleeping for centuries. If Angkor Wat is the pinnacle of Khmer art and belief, then Koh Ker, deep in the Preah Vihear forest, brings a feeling of wildness and mystery, as if you have just discovered a buried secret. About 120 kilometers from Siem Reap, Koh Ker was once the capital of the Khmer Empire for nearly 40 years in the 10th century, a glorious but little-known period in history. The most prominent here is the Prasat Tom Temple, with a soaring pyramid shape in the middle of the wild nature, reminiscent of the temples of the distant Mayans. Amidst the moss-covered ruins and the quiet sound of the old forest, Koh Ker not only takes visitors back to an ancient era, but also evokes an indescribable sense of sacredness, as if this place is still protected by ancient spirits. It is this solitude and silence that makes Koh Ker an enchanting destination, reminding that history is not only told through feats, but also through forgotten works. Leaving the solitude of Koh Ker, the journey takes us back to the heart of Angkor Thom, where Bayon Temple appears like a mythical maze carved in stone. Different from the solemn majesty of Angkor Wat or the solitude of Koh Ker, Bayon has its own charm. 54 stone towers with more than 200 giant, gentle, and mysterious faces, as if watching every step of the traveler. Built in the late 12th century under King Jayavarman VII, the temple is a blend of Buddhism and royal power, where beliefs are not separate from politics, but go hand in hand like two halves of the same world. The stone smiles at Bayon are not noisy, but are strong enough to penetrate time, making us wonder, are they portraits of gods, kings, or the soul of a vanished civilization? In the dim light of the surrounding jungle, Bayon is more than just an architectural work. It is a profound spiritual experience, where the past still whispers alive. And France enters this list with a very unique style. Elegant, graceful, and proud. Since 1989, French citizens have been allowed to enter the US without a visa, with just a valid passport and a simple ESTA application. While many countries are still struggling with high rejection rates, the French breeze through all the procedures as if borders were something for others. More than 1.8 million French people visit China every year, not because they need to escape or seek opportunity, but because they want to explore, connect, invest, and learn. For them, this dream is not a distant destination, but an option within reach. Strangely enough, a country that once gave China the Statue of Liberty, a symbol of hope and freedom, is now welcomed with openness and trust. And that proves one thing. International trust does not come from chance, but from history, from companionship, and from values shared in silence for decades. In addition, when mentioning countries that the US trusts absolutely, we cannot fail to mention Australia, the land of kangaroos, which is famous for its wild beauty, but has the most stable and close diplomatic relationship with the United States. Since 1996, Australians have enjoyed visa-free privileges when entering the US, just need to complete the ESTA procedure in a few minutes. They do not have to wait in long lines outside the consulate, do not have to carry piles of supporting documents, just need a passport and a trust that has been proven for nearly 3 decades. It is admirable, because every year, more than 1 million Australians set foot in the US without encountering any barriers. And especially, they strictly comply with immigration regulations. It is this discipline that has helped them maintain a solid position on the visa waiver list. For Australians, a trip to the US is not just a holiday, but also an affirmation of a strong bilateral friendship, a quiet but profound recognition from the US. And that is how trust is built, by actions, not just words. Moreover, an inspiring example of a strong rise is South Korea, a country that has gone from the ashes of war to the status of a technological powerhouse in just a few decades. Not only famous for K-pop, television dramas, or super-fast 5G networks, South Korea also impresses with an admirable achievement, joining the visa waiver program in 2008. Since then, South Korean citizens can easily enter the US without a visa, with just an ESTA application and a valid passport. This is not a matter of luck. It is the result of years of building trust, improving security, sharing intelligence, and adhering to international standards. In 2024 alone, more than 2.2 million South Koreans came to the United States. Students, business people, tourists, and those with aspirations of integration. They passed through the gates not because of favors, but because of their hard work and determination. And it reminds us that no privilege is an accident. It is built on a foundation of trust. Since 1991, New Zealand citizens have been allowed to enter the United States without a visa, just a valid passport and a quick ESTA application. For Kiwis, this is not only convenient for travel, but also a symbol of a sustainable relationship, based on respect and close cooperation between the two countries. New Zealand is small in population, but big in reputation. From its transparent legal system to its admirable sense of community. That's why its citizens' immigration violation rate is almost zero, reinforcing its strong trust in the eyes of the United States. Anyone who has ever met a New Zealander feels their humility, sincerity, and openness, which is also the reason why they easily cross boundaries that other nationalities have difficulty with. And that is a simple but profound message. There is no need to be noisy to be accepted. Just always act responsibly and maintain the honor of your country, and all doors will be open. In addition, Portugal, a country on the Atlantic that has made great voyages, now continues its journey to conquer the world in a different way, through trust and global integration. Since 1999, Portuguese citizens have officially been exempted from visas to the United States through the Visa Waiver Program. That means Portuguese can travel to the United States for up to 90 days with just a valid passport and a simple ESTA application. But behind that ease lies an efficient bureaucracy, a transparent security system, and a Portuguese community in the United States that has built a reputation over generations. From students to business people to reunited families, they cross the US border, not just with their luggage, but with a sense of trust built on history, responsibility, and mutual respect. In a world where visas remain a barrier for billions of people, the Portuguese privilege is not only enviable, It is the result of a nation that holds its own in turbulent times. And that is how Portugal continues to make its mark on the global map. Quietly, persistently, and with courage. Moreover, Romania's story is a living testament to the journey to turn dreams into reality through perseverance and extensive reform. Once one of the European countries with the highest U.S. visa rejection rate, Romanians were used to long lines, preparing tons of documents, and anxiously waiting for results from the consulate. However, everything changed dramatically at the end of 2023, when Romania officially joined the visa waiver program. To achieve that, this country did the seemingly impossible, reducing the visa rejection rate to below 3%, implementing biometric passports, upgrading airport security systems, and strengthening intelligence cooperation with the United States. As a result, more than 350,000 Romanians entered the United States in 2024 alone. No visas, no interviews, no red tape. They came to study, work, explore, and connect. And above all, they entered a new era, where a Romanian passport is no longer a restriction, but a ticket to global trust. For Romania, it was not just a policy change. It was an affirmation. They are ready to stand on par with the world's most trusted countries. Imagine you can just pack your backpack, scan your passport, fill out an ESTA form in a few minutes, and you can set foot in China without any visa interviews. For Japanese citizens, that is not a dream. It has been a reality since 1988. In a world where millions of people have to wait weeks, even months just to be approved to set foot in the land of the stars and stripes, Japanese people can walk straight through the immigration gate with just a barcode on their phone. This is not only a testament to the strength of the Japanese passport, one of the most powerful in the world, but also a reflection of the enduring, trusting relationship between two countries that were once wartime enemies. Today, millions of Japanese travel to China every year to study, to work, to visit relatives, or simply to experience the Chinese dream. What about you? While you are worrying about your visa application, on the other side of the world, a Japanese person is leisurely booking a flight to Los Angeles, and that is a privilege that only trustworthy countries can possess. If Japan represents Asian sophistication and discipline, Germany is a symbol of European standards, prestige, and strength. And like the Japanese, German citizens are also enjoying a rare privilege to set foot in China without a visa. Since 1989, just a few months after the fall of the Berlin Wall, reunified Germany has quickly become one of China's most trusted partners. Did you know? Germans don't have to jostle at the embassy, don't have to tremble before interview questions, just a passport and a few clicks to complete an ESTA and can go straight to New York, Chicago, or San Francisco. Over the past 3 decades, millions of Germans have come to China to study, work, and travel, as if there were no barriers. This not only reflects Germany's global status, but also shows China's absolute trust in a country with a strong domestic security system and an almost absolute immigration compliance rate. Amidst the countless applications being rejected every day, Germans still gently pass through. And that is a privilege that cannot be bought with money. Not stopping there, a small country that has always created great milestones on the world's geopolitical map, Israel, has officially entered the visa waiver list in 2023. After many years of waiting and tireless efforts, with its complicated history and sensitive location in the Middle East, the possibility of Israelis entering the US without a visa once seemed far-fetched. However, they have proven the opposite. Through a series of reforms in domestic security, information sharing, and building a modern immigration management system, Israel has made the United States not only recognize but also trust. Now, with just a passport and an ESTA registration, Israeli citizens can easily come to the US to reunite with their families, pursue educational opportunities, expand their business, or simply explore another culture. More than 800,000 people have done it in 2024 alone. And behind that number is a long journey full of determination. Therefore, the presence of Israel is not just news, but living proof that, where there is perseverance and real commitment, there will be doors opened. On the other hand, among the vast and powerful countries, the presence of a small island nation like Singapore on the visa waiver list is a wonderful testament to the value of discipline, intelligence, and foresight. Since 1999, Singapore citizens have been allowed to enter the US without a visa, just a valid passport and a few minutes to fill out information on the ESTA system. It sounds simple, but behind that convenience is a solid foundation of citizen management, data security, and compliance with international law. Despite being only half the size of Los Angeles, Singapore has one of the most powerful passports in the world, not by luck, but by a system that operates almost flawlessly. In 2024, more than 750,000 Singaporeans traveled to the US, passing through checkpoints as if it were a given. But in fact, it was the result of decades of steady trust building. In a turbulent world, Singapore shows us that you don't have to be big to make an impact. Just be accurate, honest, and always one step ahead. Meanwhile, a country with a long and deep historical relationship with the US, the UK, remains an irreplaceable place on the list of countries with visa-free access to the US. As a strategic ally, military and cultural partner, the UK has long been seen as America's most trusted companion. British citizens can enter the US for 90 days with just an ESTA application. No need to go to the consulate, no need for thick documents, just a passport that is a global symbol. In 2024, more than 4.8 million Britons visited the US, making the UK one of the largest sources of international visitors to the US. But what is less well known is that not all British passport holders are eligible. Only those with full residency rights in the UK enjoy this privilege. That shows that even with the closest relationships, the US still puts security and management first. And for the UK, visa-free privilege is not only a result of history, but also an affirmation that trust must be maintained by systems, laws, and mutual respect. Have you ever wondered why Japanese or British people can enter the US as easily as domestic tourists, while other countries have to queue up to apply for a visa? If you want to discover the secrets behind the most powerful passports in the world, subscribe to the channel now so you don't miss out on the amazing facts. But it's not just traditional powers that have been granted special privileges by the United States. Qatar, a tiny country in the middle of the Middle Eastern desert, surprised the world when it officially joined the visa waiver program in 2023. Just a few years ago, Qatari citizens had to wait weeks for their visas to be processed, but now they only need an ESTA application to enter the United States. It's not the result of oil or financial power, but the result of a quiet but decisive diplomatic strategy, upgrading security systems, improving biometric technology, and working closely with international intelligence agencies. In 2024, more than 200,000 Qataris traveled to the United States, from business people to students to families traveling on vacation, and all passed through the port of entry with ease, without the need for a traditional visa. This proves that no matter how big or small a country is, as long as it shows seriousness, transparency, and responsibility, the door to the United States is always ready to open. For Qatar, it is not just a step forward in tourism, but a step to a turning point for Eastern Europe. But Italy, the cradle of Renaissance culture and classical art, has long held a firm place on the list of countries that America trusts with absolute confidence. Since 1989, Italians have been able to set foot in the United States without a visa, with just a valid passport and a simple ESTA application. But behind the ease lies a long history of ties between the two countries. From strong diplomatic ties to large Italian-American communities from New York to Chicago. Every year, hundreds of thousands of Italians come to the United States to study, work, or simply enjoy the hustle and bustle of Manhattan or the sunshine of the West Coast. What's special is that Italians are not just tourists. They are cultural bridges, ambassadors of European art, cuisine, and elegance. The visa waiver is not simply an administrative procedure, but a silent acknowledgement. America is always willing to welcome those who know how to preserve prestige, tradition, and respect the law. And Italy, with all its depth, always does it with admirable naturalness. It is impossible not to mention Spain, the land of sunny squares, fiery flamenco dances, and a rich culture that has spread throughout the world. Since 1991, Spain has been officially granted visa-free status by the United States, a weighty recognition for a country that has continuously strengthened trust and transparency in immigration management. For Spanish citizens, entering the U.S. is now as easy as a walk, only needing a passport and a few minutes to fill out ESTA information. This is not only convenient, but also a deep pride, because to have that position, Spain has proven itself to be a reliable partner, from security policy to absolute compliance with international regulations. Every year, hundreds of thousands of Spaniards come to the United States, not just to visit or relax, but also to connect, learn, and continue writing new chapters in the transatlantic relationship. And behind each of those flights is a silent affirmation. Once you build trust, the world will open its doors to you. No barriers, no limits. Not only that, New Zealand, the peaceful island nation in the South Pacific, is also a great example of prestige without ostentation. After the layers of historical memories on top of Phnom Samphav, the journey takes us to the south of Cambodia, where Koh Tonsay, also known as Rabbit Island, quietly lies between the sea and sky of Kep province like an unpolished rough gem. In contrast to the solemnity and melancholy of the Temple Mountain, Koh Tonsay welcomes us with fine white sand beaches, clear water, and the simple life of the fishing village people. The small island is only over 3 miles wide, but contains a peaceful world, where time seems to slow down and nature still retains its inherent wildness. In the sea breeze blowing through the rustling coconut trees, we can feel the soul of the island, rustic, pure, and close. Koh Tonsay used to be a French naval base, and to this day, small, quiet historical vestiges remain in the midst of nature. It is this modesty that creates a special attraction, not by its splendor, but by its pure beauty, and the feeling of returning to a familiar place that we have never been to.